Now, I know what you're thinking. Why I gotta subscribe to Staunch TV? Why I gotta hit the little notification bell? Why I gotta follow Staunch TV on Instagram and TikTok? Don't ask! Just do it. You know, I honestly don't think I talk enough on the channel about my serious love for satire or spoof movies. I mean, I do have the show Forgotten Spoof Movies, where I dedicate, a couple minutes to what I consider to be forgotten spoof movies. I've also done a watch along, I believe. Go check those out next. But for tonight, well, I got my spliff rolled, I got my 40, I got these cheeseburgers, man, and I'm ready to talk about some other spoof outings that aren't so forgotten. Because, well, there's a lot of those too. And in tonight's case, well, this one's extremely important to the genre. The hood spoof, or the hood comedy as we know it today, was birthed more so from a little film that on paper never should have worked. A little film that tanked at the box office and was hated by critics. A little film that, by pure adoration, is now a legendary cult classic. A little film with a big name.
It's a film about America, depicting life so disturbing, it makes us care, it makes us think, and it makes a ton of money. They're discovering that family values,
those are my kids,
are still cherished.
What do you say when you meet a nice man? Are you my daddy?
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
I've always admired the real grit we got from the Wayans family. As their entire career, they chose to gamble on themselves. And it was basically at the urging of their older brother, Keenan, like, maybe you guys should try to get y'all's own movie off the ground, because they were doing very well with their own TV show, The Wayans Brothers. Even in Marlon Wayans' case, he was set to appear as the comedian in The Nutty Professor, a role made famous by Dave Chappelle. But Marlon turned down the role in a Universal picture starring Eddie fucking Murphy. And because of Keenan, well, when the test screenings weren't going very well and they had to fix things up, I mean, he was basically pushing him the entire time. Script revisions. What else can make this scene funnier?
The funny thing is, a lot of people give Sean and Marlon credit for writing this movie, but the truth is I wrote all the movie myself. Marlon would come in and say, yeah, I got some physical stuff I want to put in. Really, I did all the writing, so, oh, hey, what's up, you guys? I was just, yeah, but no, they're brilliant.
And that in turn really led to Marlon letting down a big opportunity appearing in Nutty Professor. But hey, in my opinion, it was all for the best.
Do we have a talent?
Now, with all that being said, if I'm being honest about things like the film's production or screenplay, I mean, even for a spoof movie, in my opinion, it doesn't seem to be written well. It's kind of pieced together by what seems to be an assortment of random scenes early on in the film, and kind of the narrative kind of gets together towards the end. But the best parts being some of the supporting side characters, and I guess with being so familiar with In Living Color back then, that helped to make the film seem more like a series of sketches. And upon rewatching, I mean, the movie could have been threaded together much better. What it does here is when a scene kind of runs out of steam, it just fades to black and picks up to the next one, so it feels like you're watching a sketch show at times. And there's things like where there's a parody where Loke Dog is making some drugs in the kitchen, and that turns out to be a cake. The whole time he's baking a cake, and the very next scene is him visiting Crazy Legs in the hospital. I mean, Loke Dog could have taken him the cake, right? I don't know, things like that. I guess I'm nitpicking, but it doesn't really matter. I still absolutely love the film. It's a hood classic for a reason.
Message.
And that, in my opinion, is where the film largely succeeds. I mean, it actually takes the time to have our young teen characters go through stuff teens actually go through, losing your virginity, or, driver's ed, or even applying for your first job. These are essentially all still kids. I like how they leaned into that here. And the Wayans absolutely nailed the most crucial element to these parody kind of films: the sight gags. Like, it really gives the Zucker brothers a run for their money. We have, like the stuff dangling from Loke Dog's wardrobe, and, especially everything being wrapped in plastic, and, the shit on the shelf.
We got a problem?
From the creators of In Living Color, Marlon Wayans,
What you say about my mama?
Sean Wayans,
Hey, Grandma.
And for sure, like the use of actual locations in these other hood movies, like they shot in the same neighborhoods and stuff like that, it really goes a long way as far as the lampoon goes. And they stick very close to the genre, only parodying popular hood movies and references that, well, while kind of dated, yeah, still work perfectly today. And there's even some obscure references here, like the parodying of blaxploitation with the Abby reference. Anyone see that flick?
Abby.
I saw that when I was a kid, scared the hell out of me. I never realized that it was, spoofed here. I just thought it was a strange part in this movie. Weird. And it makes for one of the most notorious scenes.
Motherfucker, let's get it on.
This wasn't even the first time it was spoofed by the Wayans, as Keenan also did it, and I'm gonna get you, sucker. And notably missing here are some actors. I mean, I guess like Damon Wayans, he was the only real key family member that didn't participate in the film. And, we have hood movie staple John Witherspoon that's not here. I guess he was busy with Friday. I don't know. And they could have cast Mitch Mulaney here, who would star in the hood comedy The Breaks, as well as he also appeared in the Wayans Brothers show, before landing his own show. But he would have been perfect as, I don't know, the Man. Cast him as the Man. Rest in peace, Mitch Mulaney. Check out my video on The Breaks next. Link in description. But we can't discount the amazing cast we did get. My favorites being Omar Epps reprising his role from Higher Learning, where upon returning to school a year later, Emmy-wise, we also get a hilarious appearance from Bernie Mac, legendary, and one of the funniest scenes in the movie. I don't know, I can go on all night about the casting and side actors, but much like everyone else, my favorite character in the film is an easy one to pick. You know who I'm talking about. The Preacher.
Nigga, get it around on that side.
I'm just kidding. That's probably my second favorite. My first favorite character, easily, Grandma.
You little bitch-ass motherfucker.
And of course, we get legendary actress Helen Martin here, completely having just a ball. She was always one of those old ladies growing up that you thought was going to live forever. Rest in peace, Helen, by the way. But I think we can all agree that Grandma is the standout character here. She actually deserved her own spin-off movie, if I may say so. And though it was nearing the end of her career, it's so great to see that she was obviously having a blast. And must have been a cool-ass person to know.
How did you feel about that when they came to you and said you're going to play a pot-smoking granny?
I love Aretha.
Basically led to the genre being thrown into the mainstream and becoming a relevant choice for major studios. But, while the satire renaissance was welcomed, its initial run didn't last too long, sadly.
Right there. Right there.
The Wayans family, they are legends. And I mean, they give us nothing but bangers. Mostly. I've covered most of Damon's films already, but Marlon, he can't go unnoticed when it comes to the 90s mainstream comedy landscape. This dude was always a presence on the video store shelves growing up. And it was astonishing to see his acting chops later in stuff like Requiem for a Dream. But come on. Senseless? That movie rules. And even the ones that, aren't what I consider to be funny, they had an idea and they went full force with it in the way that only the Wayans could. Don't Be a Menace may not be the first hood comedy or even the first hood spoof. I mean, the blaxploitation rogues gallery of films is the perfect example, but for countless people my age, this was the one that introduced us to the concept. A concept that oddly was kind of coming into its own around this time. I mean, we got a lot of hood comedies in that little gap. A lot of them basically video store fodder, like I Got the Hookup or The Magnificent Fat Beach. But also, bigger studios were also taking notice. Well, yeah, not all of them were hits. Some of them were. I mean, Friday totally snuck up on the box office. And Friday seems to come up in the conversation a lot when discussing this film, and I get it. They're both just kind of lighter takes on hood movies when it comes down to it, with different, wacky levels. But another movie I feel gets overlooked when discussing hood comedies and their similarities and, spoofs and whatnot. Well, I gotta throw the forgotten hood spoof, High School High in the mix. While it doesn't focus much on spoofing any gangsta movies, it kind of parodies the teacher as a savior trope that was also popular back then, more so kind of having a jab at Dangerous Minds directly, but there's a lot of other stuff in there. And in my opinion, High School High just didn't really age well. Upon rewatching it recently, I found it rather dull and kind of hard to get through, with a few hilarious moments throughout, yeah. Now that I think about it, there is a oddly similar scene in these films, a little too similar maybe. For instance, in Don't Be a Menace, we see character Dashiki.
That's Swahili.
Well, she kind of does a poem for Ashtray, and her poem kind of starts off normal, then gets really nasty. And in High School High, well, we get a high school student that reads a poem in front of the class that starts normal, then gets really nasty. Weird. Where'd that come from? I'm guessing that poetic justice joke is just an easy one to make. Who knows? Point being, Don't Be a Menace is the greatest hood parody of all time.
The fuck is he talking about?
Also, should I touch on High School High sometime? Let me know in the comments. The Wayans would, of course, go on to hone their spoof tendencies and essentially master their craft in the early 2000s. Personally, I would say Scary Movie excelled everywhere Don't Be a Menace was lacking. Like, Scary Movie has a much more solid narrative, and the scenes don't feel like a mishmash of skits and whatnot. Which, of course, was all ramped up in the sequel for better or worse. And even after that, White Chicks is a legit classic at this point, and holds up better than I remembered, honestly. While other outings like, let's say, Little Man may not be as well remembered, the extended Wayans family has also been in the scene heavily for years now, so there's plenty to choose from. While the Scary Movie franchise was stolen from the guys, luckily for us, they recently reacquired the rights, so they will be back. And in the meantime, Marlon has been making these kind of movies on Netflix for years, so again, lots to choose from. Let's hope we can someday revisit our homies in the hood as well. Thanks for joining me, Staunch Gang. Love you. Let me know what's up. Let me know down below what spoof movies I should touch on next. I'm gonna go eat the baby's lunch. See you soon.